Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Representatives Baum, Campbell, Camper, Cochran, Faison, Garrett, Hawk, Hazelwood, Love, Moon, Shaw, Whitson, Williams, Chairman Hicks.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. I'd like to call the Finance, Ways and Means Subcommittee to order for March 1st, 2023. Are there any announcements or personal orders? And with that said, I have two. First of all, I'd like to welcome the Houston Electric Cooperative board members. If they would stand, please. And as I introduce them, we have General Manager Jimmy Sandlin. I see Board Chair Jeff Ringley, as well as Board Member Mark Derrick, and as well as Executive Assistant Misty Bland. So would you all stand up and would y'all please welcome them? Also, I'm going to get some brownie points from back home as I do this. Today is my 20th anniversary, so I want to say happy anniversary to my wife. I'm sure she's not watching, but I can at least show it to her later. So thank you all for that. Members, any more announcements? Chair Lady Hazelwood.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and happy anniversary to you and to Laura, and congratulations on her persistence. I want to take just a minute. He's not in here, but I saw earlier a former colleague and a friend of mine, now Hamilton County Register of Deeds, Mark Gravitt, is roaming the halls somewhere. So if you guys see him, say hello.
All right, certainly welcome Mark back. Any more announcements? All right, seeing none, we have a total of 28 bills on our calendar for today. So we're going to get started with item number one. Item number one on our calendar is House Bill 1215 by Chairman Rudd, and this has been requested to be rolled 1 week. So without objection, House Bill 1215 will be rolled 1 week. All right, item number two on our calendar. Item number two is going to be House Bill 130 by Deputy Speaker Curtis Johnson. You have a motion and a second. You're recognized for a brief description.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 130 deals with the Assessment Appeals Commission. This bill came to me from our beloved Comptroller of the Treasury. And 40 years ago, the Assessment Appeals Commission was created. And at the time they were created, they were very active. But that is not the case anymore. So basically what this bill does is it just takes the Assessment Appeals Commission out of the appeals process.
All right, thank you very much. Members, you've heard the description of House Bill 130. Any discussion? Representative Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to ask you, Mr. Chairman, this will not take the effectiveness out of this program in any way. I know what you're trying to do, but I mean, it would not delay any actions on?
Actually, Representative Shaw, it will expedite the process.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for the comment.
Thank you, Representative Shaw. Further discussion? Seeing none, we're now voting on House Bill 130, moving on to full finance. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 130 moves on to full finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee.
All right, that brings us to item number three. Item number three on our calendar is House Bill 144 by Leader Lamberth. We have a motion to second. You are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, and I have an amendment on this that inserts the following section. Thank you.
All right, you have a motion to second on the amendment. Any discussion? I think you just gave the description on the amendment. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, we're now voting on drafting code 004232 onto House Bill 144. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We are back on the bill as amended. Any discussion on the bill as amended? Seeing none, we are now voting on House Bill 144, moving on to full finance. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 144 moves on to full finance. All right, that brings us to item number 4, also by Leader Lamberth, House Bill 805. We have a motion to second. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I stand ready for questions. This is the do not text bill.
All right, members, you've heard the description. Any discussion on House Bill 805? Hearing none and seeing none, we're now voting on House Bill 805, moving on to full finance. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 805 moves on to full finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 5. Item 5 is going to be House Bill 484 by Chairman Boyd. I don't know. Oh, there he is. Couldn't see him. You have a motion to second. You're recognized, sir, for a brief description.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee. House Bill 484 would take the theft and possession of a catalytic converter from a Class A misdemeanor to a Class E felony. Mr. Chairman, I'll take any questions.
All right, Chairman, thank you very much. Members, you've heard the description of House Bill 82. Any discussion? Seeing none? 484, I'm sorry. Let me make sure I said that right here. So House Bill 484. Not quite. Small little problem, just a small detail, about 1.6 reasons why we can't do this right now. But I appreciate you. I think this is a good bill, and I look forward to working with you, Mr. Sponsor, but it does have a fiscal note. Wait a minute, make sure. Yes, it does have a fiscal note associated with this particular piece of legislation. So without objection, we will place House Bill 484 behind the budget. All right, now we're on item 6 and House Bill 82. Now we're back on track. Chairman Boyd, you have a motion second. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is an amendment traveling with the bill.
Yes, sir, it is
adopted in full
traveling.
committee. Okay, and what this bill does, it's brought by the Bureau of Workers' Compensation, and it makes various changes to the workers' comp statute. Mr. Chairman, I can go into a lot of detail, or y'all can take my word for it.
We'll take your word for it for right now as we ask the committee if they would like to ask any questions, and we can get deeper if they would like to, but I think you've heard the brief description. Any discussion, members? Seeing none, we're now voting on House Bill 82, moving on to full finance. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes do have it. House Bill 82 moves on to full finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee.
All right, we're on item number 7. Item number 7 is going to be House Bill 68 by Chairman Haston. We have a motion to second. Sir, you're recognized for a brief description.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Glad to carry this administration bill. In 2021, we passed the Tennessee Learning Loss Remediation and Student Acceleration Act. That act only required summer learning loss camps for summer learning camps and after-school learning for the summers of 2021 and 2022. This bill extends that indefinitely and adds students entering kindergarten as well. With that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
All right. Thank you, Chairman, for this description. So let me just begin the questioning by saying, so how this extends it out, did you say indefinitely? So we don't know how long these learning loss camps are going to be going on for right now?
I think that we're looking to try to make sure that there's been a lot of talk about, I don't know if y'all have heard about the third grade retention issue, but one of the main things that we heard was that it's better to try to capture these students and identify the ones that needed reading supports early and often to prepare them and be better before they get to third grade. So we're just trying to put in place a process which we're identifying students early and trying to get them the supports as often as we can.
I think this is great, being proactive instead of reactive. So I'm certainly in support of this piece of legislation. Chair Lady Hazelwood.
My question is, how are we going to know if we're successful? What are our outcome measurements, and how long will it take to be able to measure?
You're recognized, sir.
Thank you for the question. I think that the ELA TCAPs and the benchmark assessments that are in place now, I think that as the years progress, we've already seen an increase from the program that's been in place so far, and this has been a short time that it's been in place. So far, there's been a 6-point gain statewide in elementary and school ELA proficiencies. There was a 6-point gain in middle school ELA proficiencies from 2021 that now matches our pre-pandemic achievement. And there was also a 4-point gain in elementary math proficiency. So we're already seeing some benefits to what we've done, which was just on a small scale. I think if we increase that scale, we're going to see even more impact.
Chair Lady. And also, I think to add to that, with these summer learning loss, I know for grades 3, 4, and 5, they actually test during these learning loss camps, whether usually it's on the end, and so we can measure it pretty quick term. I'm not sure about K through 2. Chairman, if you'd like to.
I believe that currently there's a pre and post test, and I think that would continue on in those grades as well.
Great. All right, Chairman Williams.
Thank you. Chairman Haston, thank you for this bill. Just to follow up on the questions that they had, we're currently using TANF monies in order to do this, are we not?
Chairman?
Yes, part of TANF funds go towards this.
Okay, so I guess if we, going forward, we're assuming that those TANF fund dollars will continue at the same rate and allow us to do this since we are making it reoccurring in perpetuity.
You go right ahead. You all have open dialogue.
Thank you for the question. Yes, and there were some questions in previous committees about the TANF funds, and the same way that they had to meet the requirements and be approved for the current camps, that continual approval would have to go on. It would be something that the administration would have to address if, for some reason, those funds did dry up, and if they wanted to keep the program, I'm sure that they would have to find it somewhere on the back end of the budget.
Chairman Williams.
And then finally, I think most of us have heard from our communities about, you mentioned the third grade retention law and what's going on there. Very supportive of your bill, love what we're doing here. I would ask you to help the administration maybe answer a question for me. It would be interesting to know, because we hear a lot from parents about how they're upset about the third grade retention law. However, this has been going on before that, to know what percentage of kids are actually participating in this program that qualify to do that. I do think it's interesting where when we have opportunities for kids to improve and their parents can invest in their kids' success, at what rate we're actually doing that. So if you don't know that, I'd love to know that information between now and full committee.
The two numbers that I did have, and I don't know if this answers it exactly, but if not, we'll have somebody track it down. In 2021, that summer, we had over 120,000 students that participated in the camps with an average attendance rate of 96%. And in 2022, over 92,000 students participated. And the question came up in committee, why was the drop? There really wasn't a significant answer of why the drop was on that. But if there's any further that you would need than that, well, I'll send the department your way.
Chairman Williams.
Of course, based upon the math that we're hearing about third grade retention, there are some that would argue that in my district, 42% of the children would be retained in the second grade. I guess my question is, of the 120,000 that utilize this service in 20 and 21, the question would be, was it 1 million that qualified to provide these services, or in effect being 8%, or is it 200,000?
Well, and to touch on your first point, I think we've all had some bills that's gotten some fiscal notes that it assumed like the greatest number, and all of a sudden you thought it would be a $5,000 bill, and it's $1 million bill because they're assuming all seniors in the state of Tennessee are going to do a program. That's kind of what happened a lot with the third grade retention, is that the number you saw was it was not ever a bill that was a fail this test and automatic retention. And that was the number that was put out because of all of the parameters that were in place and the on-ramps to promotion. I know that we get caught up in how things get named. Third grade retention, it just became like it's a third grade retention bill. It was much more of a reading supports identification bill. That's not as catchy.
Yeah.
And so, but the number that got put out there was kind of the Armageddon number, and it wasn't the number. There was no exact way to siphon down, like once all these on-ramps were going through, what that number actually would be. But I think that we're going to have that. I think we'll have a bill come through that's going to address even more on-ramps for promotion.
Thank you.
Chair Lady Hazelwood.
Just to follow up to a question that Chairman Williams had, I want to make sure I understood correctly. This funding now coming through TANF, we assume or would like to hope that it will continue, but that's an annual recertification. Is that what I heard you say?
I'm not positive on that. That would be one that I don't know if there's anybody down from the department that might be able to answer that better than I think it is, but I'm not positive on that.
All right.
Chairman, we do have someone from the Department of Education, a couple people, if they would like to, if they do have the answers to that, they're more than welcome to make their way to the front, and we will let them address that. And I'm not seeing a Matt. Here we go. So, without objection, we will go out of session. We are out of session. And if you would, as you all make your way to the microphones, if you all would just identify yourself and your affiliation.
Chairman, Chair Hazelwood, thank you for letting us come up. My name is Reed Cook. I'm the Director of Legislative Affairs of the Department of Education.
Lisa Coons, Chief Academic Officer for the Department of Education. Mary Ann Dursky, Chief Financial Officer for the Department of Education.
You go ahead and begin.
Okay. Chair Lady, could I just tighten up that question real quick and make sure I understand it correctly? You're worried about if we go in perpetuity, the TANF funds right now that we have the allotment for, you're worried that in the future, if it dries up, kind of what would happen in that hypothetical situation?
Or the mechanism for continuing the program, is it something that because we're extending it this year, K through 8, so has that been pre-approved, by the powers that be for TANF funding for that extension or expansion? Or how does that work? And, when would we know if the program that we plan to put in place is not going to be eligible for TANF funding? Then at what point would we know that so that we could, as Representative Haston mentioned, so that we could take care of it on the back end of the budget, as it were?
Yes, thank you. Yes, we have a commitment for this summer of 2023 for TANF funding.
Ms. Dursky, I hate to interrupt you, but would you just state your name? Of
Oh,
course,
I'm
everybody
sorry.
in education knows you are the rock star of education, Mary Ann Dursky, but if you'll just mention your name, thank
My
you for the record.
apologies. Yes, sir. Mary Ann Dursky, CFO for the department. Yes, we do have a commitment for this summer of 2023 from TANF for funding in an amount comparable to what we have seen in the past. Should this expansion go through, there are sufficient TANF funds to cover the at-risk students for this summer. And it would be an annual ask.
Okay, thank you. That answered my
Thank
question.
you, Chair Lady. Members? Chairman Williams.
Thank you, Chairman. While I've got you here, the question that I posed to Chairman Haston was, how many students qualify for these programs in the summer?
So as part of the statute, districts are required to enroll priority students first. Those are the students who don't pass with proficiency. They invite those students, give those students a certain period to enroll. Those students get prioritized seats. There is no requirement for them to enroll, but they're invited first, and then additional seats are filled. We can get the exact numbers for you to know what the prioritized enrollment was for 21 and 22, if that would be helpful.
Chairman?
Thank you. And so Chairman Haston shared with us one of the 2 years was 120,000. The question would be, were there 250,000 kids that qualified to be able to get this, and only 120,000 of them participated, or we took as many people as we had the cap for?
I don't believe any of the districts turned away any students for
Okay.
summer programming at all.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, further discussion for our guests? All right, seeing none, thank you all very much. Thank you. Without objection, we are going to go back in session. So without objection, we're back in session. And Chairman Haston, anything you'd like to?
Just renew my motion.
All right, question's been called. Any objection to calling the question? Hearing none, seeing none. We're now voting on House Bill 68, moving on to full finance. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 68 moves on to full finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. All right, let's move on to item number 8. Item number 8 is going to be House Bill 145 by Chairman Holsclaw. Chairman, you have a motion and a second. You are recognized on House Bill 145.
Thank you, Chairman. It's been a busy morning. Basically, this is a pretty simple bill. We've done it for the last 2 years. This will make the third year on the Secretary of State's office, which just reduces the charitable gaming fees and a few things like that. So, and they also come back and pay for it with their budget. So it'll be no impact to us. So,
all right.
Having said that, I'll shut up.
All right. Thank you, Chairman. Members, you've heard the description eloquently given by, I shouldn't use words that I can't spell. Yeah, and right, and brief. He was very brief.
That's from Hawkins County.
That was. All right, members, you've heard the description of House Bill 145. Any discussion on it? Hearing none and seeing none, we're now voting on House Bill 145, moving on to full finance. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes do have it. House Bill 145 moves on to full finance.
Thank you, Chairman. Committee.
All right, that moves us to item number 9. Patiently waiting has been Chairman Kiesling. House Bill 290. You have a motion to second. You're recognized, sir, for a brief description.
Thank you, Chairman. And on behalf of all the constituents from wonderful House District 38, we want to wish you all a very happy anniversary today, sir.
Thank you.
House Bill 290, it's all about diversion. This basically eliminates the diversion application fee. I can get into more detail, but it's simply an elimination of the fee for first-time offenders. Of course, diversion is exclusively for individuals, and no one needs to be reminded of that with folks with no prior convictions. Currently, this fee is being assessed to people who are seeking literally a second opportunity or chance. Now I can get into the different types of, and certainly will be if you think. But anyway, that's just the bottom line. And of course, I'll entertain any questions those that may have.
All right, thank you, Chairman. Members, you've heard the description of House Bill 290. Any discussion on House Bill 290? Leader Camper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, is this for pre-trial diversion only, or just diversion period?
This is for, it's my understanding, for pretrial diversion.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, further discussion on House Bill 290. Seeing none, of course, it does have a cost associated with House Bill.
Unfortunately, it does, sir. Yes.
So we will have to place it behind the budget and consider it at a later day. So without objection, House Bill 290 is behind the budget. All right, members, that brings us to item number 10, also by Chairman Kiesling, House Bill 356. You have a motion to second. Please continue with a brief description.
Thank you, Chairman. And yes, House Bill 356 is regarding our county officials, clerks, more specifically. Last year, we did pass a bill that allowed our county clerks to raise the applicable fee that a clerk can charge for mailing out license plates renewals from $4 to $5. Now, this fee is for mailing our registration. Of course, the applicable fee for mailing just registrations remains at $2 per transaction. But the bill just simply seeks to codify a proactive approach to remedy the situation by allowing, and this is the most important part, by allowing the postage fee to be tied to any rise in, of course, the U.S. postage prices. So with that, all right, I'll entertain any questions.
Thank you, Chairman Kiesling. Members, you've heard the description. Any discussion on House Bill 356? Hearing none and seeing none, we're now voting on House Bill 356, moving on to full finance. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 356 moves to full finance.
Thank you, Chairman and members.
Thank you. All right, item number 11 is going to be House Bill 868 by Chairman Lafferty. You have a motion to second. You're recognized, sir, for a brief description.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee. This bill seeks to eliminate the tax on flags sold in the state of Tennessee. This does not include the little miniature flags or novelty flags or decorations. We're talking about the real flags. And as I've seen in my district, the Tri-Stars become wildly popular. If we can get more of them out there, it'd be great. Anyway, with that, I'll take any questions.
All right. Thank you, Chairman, for this description. Members, any discussion on House Bill 868? Seeing none, it does have a cost associated. Sorry, Chairman Faison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If this committee helps you get this funded, are you going to provide a flag for each one of us?
Chairman Lafferty.
We'll figure something out.
That was kind of a squirrely answer, Mr. Chairman.
You think we might ought to put it behind the budget?
I think we should. Can I motion to send this one behind the budget, and since he didn't answer that straight?
All right, members. Any further discussion on House Bill 868? We look forward to working with you on this one, but of course it does have a cost associated with it. And we will, for right now, place it behind the budget to consider at a later date without objection. So moved.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you,
Chairman.
committee, except for Faison.
Motion to reconsider our actions.
All right, we're on item number 12. Item number 12 is House Bill 54 by Chairman Powers. We have a motion second? You have a motion and a second.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. This is an administration bill. The legislation improves investor opportunities and efficiencies for capital formation and increases investor protection. The security of citizens' private and personal financial information is enhanced by making the examination records confidential. This bill deletes the filing fee requirements for employee stock offerings in Tennessee that meet the requirements of Rule 701 under the regulations of the Security Act of 1933. I'm sure you're all familiar with that, Rule 701. The legislation increases the capital that can be raised under the Investment Tennessee Exemption Act from $1 million to $5 million. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd be glad to take any questions.
All right, Chairman Powers, thank you very much. And I do believe you have an amendment drafting code 004538. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, do we have a motion to second on the amendment? You have a motion to second. And I think you probably described the bill with the amendment, or would you like to describe?
I did. Yeah, that was the amendment
Okay.
made the bill. I'm
All
sorry.
right, any discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, seeing none, we're now voting on amendment drafting code 004538 onto House Bill 54. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We're back on the bill as amended. And members, any discussion on House Bill 54 as amended? Seeing none, we're now voting on House Bill 54, moving on to full finance. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 54 moves to full finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. All right, that brings us to item number 13. Item number 13 on our calendars, House Bill 288 by Chairman Russell. You have a motion to second, sir. You're recognized for a brief description on House Bill 288.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. House Bill 288 just raises the bid limits and the amount the board gets paid for the the Tellico Reservoir Development Agency to $300 per board meeting and $225 for committee meetings. And the threshold was brought up from the 1982 thresholds, which was 41 years ago.
All right. Thank you, Chairman Russell. Members, you've heard the description of House Bill 288. Any discussion? Hearing none and seeing none, we're now voting on House Bill 288, moving on to full finance. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 288 moves on to full finance. Thank you, Chairman. And we'll move on to item number 14, where we also have Chairman Russell for House Bill 452. We have a motion to second. Sir, you're recognized for a brief description.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. House Bill 452 would require a prisoner of a county workhouse or jail who is released from custody on a work release or otherwise allowed to leave the grounds of the county workhouse or jail for employment or to perform work in the community, whether paid or unpaid, to use an electronic monitoring device at all times when the prisoner is not on the grounds of the county workhouse or jail. It requires the employer or the person utilizing the prisoner to work at to pay for the cost of the electronic monitoring device. And it does exempt the county sheriff if he wishes to use them off the county grounds, as they already do, and not be mandated by the electronic monitoring device.
All right. Thank you very much, Chairman Russell, for this description. Members, any discussion on?
I do have an amendment.
Oh, it's traveling with,
Oh, okay.
it's traveling with the bill.
Thank you.
Yeah. Members, any discussion? Chairman Hawk.
Thank you, and Chairman Russell, very good bill. Be voting in favor of it. I guess I'm just thinking as we put some words into code, there may be the next evolution of what these monitoring devices look like. I'm not sure what that is, but just food for thought as we ponder bills of this nature. The electronic monitoring device, we put those words in code. It may be something else 5 years from now. So just to think about that for future sessions, but certainly be
agree.
supporting the bill.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Williams.
I'm in favor of your bill, too. I just had a quick clarification question. In some instances, an employee would leave the jail as an unpaid employee, but yet they'd still be responsible for the device. I guess in this instance, it'd be to do volunteer work, maybe work a litter crew or something like that. In that instance, who would pay for the device?
You're recognized, sir.
So if they leave the grounds of the jail and they're still an inmate, whoever they're volunteering for would have to pay for the device, and I think it's around $4 a day.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. But to be clear, and I want to make sure, because I have received several calls on this, but as long as someone from the Sheriff's Department is accompanying them, then the monitors are not required. Is that correct?
Absolutely, as long as somebody from the sheriff's office that's got a gun, a badge, and commission card, and they're in eyesight, then the sheriffs are all for this.
Great, good deal. Further discussion? Seeing none, we're now voting on House Bill 452, moving on to full finance. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 452 moves on to full finance.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that brings us to item number 15 on our calendar is going to be House Bill 327. We had a request to roll this 2 weeks, so without objection, House Bill 327 will be rolled 2 weeks. All right, that brings us to item number 16. Item number 16 on our calendar is House Bill 1153 by Representative Sherrill. You have a motion, a second. You are recognized for a brief description.
Thank you, Chairman. In Warren County, the part of the district that I represent, we are building a new National Guard armory there, and I've been asked that the name be on the building, Major General Terry Max Haston, National Guard Armory, and he served over our National Guard for a number of years, and they would like for his name to be on the building.
All right, members, you've heard the description of House Bill 1153. And just to make sure, so I see the amendment actually changes it to Major General Haston. Is that correct, or is it back up the top there? I also see what you described, Terry Max Haston, National Guard Armory. So is that what it will be?
It'll be Major General Terry Max Haston.
Okay. All right. All right, members, you've heard the description of House Bill 1153. Further description? Seeing none, there is a fiscal note that is associated, cost associated with House Bill 1153, so we will have to place it behind the budget and reconsider it at a later date. So without objection, House Bill 1153 goes behind the budget.
Thank you, Chairman and members.
Thank you. All right, item number 17 is going to be House Bill 111 by Representative Capley. You have a motion to second on House Bill 111. You are recognized for a brief description.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and happy anniversary from the 71st District.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and committee, this bill would establish that any unpaid solid waste disposable fees payable to the solid waste facilities in Wayne County, which has a delinquency extended beyond 30 days, is subject to the same penalties and interest as delinquent property taxes. Mr. Chairman, I think there's an amendment traveling. Is that correct?
It is. That's correct.
Awesome. And I will submit for any questions.
All right. Thank you, Representative Capley. Members, you've heard the description. Any discussion? Hearing none and seeing none, we're now voting on House Bill 111, moving on to full finance. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 111 moves on to full finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Thank you. All right, brings us to item number 18. Item number 18 on our calendar is House Bill 671 by Representative Johnson of Knox. Madam, you do have a motion to second. You are recognized for a brief description.
Yeah, what this bill does, certain category of daycares that do not fall under, that are nonprofit, that are not religious, and therefore they are subject to a very expensive audit every single year that no other facility has to do. And so what this bill will do would remove that requirement for the audit, as everything that's in the audit is filed on their 990 form, and it's open for the public to see. So this bill is going to open up daycare seats across the state. There are about 100 of these facilities, and that's where the fiscal note comes from. In changing the category, it removes the $100 plus fee that these $140 fee that the daycares pay. And it has been passed on the Senate floor and funded by the Senate sweeper.
All right, thank you very much for this description. Members, any discussion on House Bill 671? Yes, sir, Representative Love.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, sponsor, for bringing this. I know that as we talk about increasing access for daycares across the state, it's very important to do as much as we can to make sure that we have as many opportunities to do that. Several years ago, I had a chance to work at a daycare here in Nashville, 18th Avenue Family Enrichment Center, and it's really needed, not just in our urban areas, but also in our rural areas. So thank you for bringing this legislation.
Yeah, absolutely. The folks that brought me this bill are in my district, and it's really keeping them from expanding. They've got a 2-story building, what used to house the nuns from St. Mary's Hospital, and they're only using the bottom floor. If not for the cost of this audit, they could expand the facility so they could create more seats. And a lot of the folks that are suffering and potential closure if they still have to continue the cost of these audits every year. And there are the only ones that are required to do so.
All right, Representative Love. Good.
That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Members, further discussion on House Bill 671. Well, as the sponsor alluded to, there is a cost associated with House Bill 671, so we will have to put it behind the budget and reconsider it at a later date. So without objection, House Bill 671 moves behind the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right, that brings us to item number 19. Item number 19 on our calendar is House Bill 62 by Representative Martin. You have a motion to second. You're recognized for a brief description. Okay.
To DCS.
You're good. Go
Okay,
ahead.
good deal. Oh, I'm sorry. There you go. It's in regard to paying teachers at DCS facilities at the same rate as we did last year with our Department of Corrections institutions. So what we're doing with that is just making sure that we retain our teachers and pay them at the same level for longevity pay as well as pay scale for
All right.
teachers. Yes.
There you go.
There you go. I've read this so many times. I
I
forgot the
thought
main
that was a
wording of it. But
dramatic
yes, sir.
pause there.
So,
That was really
exactly.
good.
There was something there, absolutely. Longevity pay as well. So that was the key component of that.
All right. Thank you very much for that description. Members, you have heard the description. Any discussion on House Bill 62? Hearing none and seeing none. We're now voting on House Bill 62, moving on to full finance. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 62 moves on to full finance. All right, that brings us to item number 20. Item number 20 on our calendars, House Bill 964 by Representative Martin. You have a motion to second.
Thank you.
Please
Chairman,
continue.
this again is an administrative bill from the Secretary of State. This one is dealing with limited partnerships and allowing them to use their DBA in the same manner that we do limited partners or LLCs, corporations, and general partnerships. This has a small fiscal note with it as well. So,
but I do believe
we are in the positive $300.
You're
Yes, sir.
good to go.
So I'm
All
excited
right,
about that.
members, you've heard the description on House Bill 964. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, we're now voting on House Bill 964, moving on to full finance. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 964 moves on to full finance.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. All right, that brings us to item number 21. Item number 21 on our calendars, House Bill 592 by Representative Reedy. You have a motion to second.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First off, Mr. Chairman, thank you for putting me in contact with your friend who is a soil scientist.
Great.
Matter of fact, this afternoon, working with soil scientists, engineers, TDEC, Association of County Mayors, and my mayors, and of course, the discussion is perk testing for property owners and trying to streamline that process. And what this is doing, we're finally trying to convince soil scientists that they don't have to have an occupational license to do their job. And so this would be repealing the Licensure Act of 2009.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Members, you've heard the description of House Bill 592. Any discussion? And thank you very much, Representative Reedy, for all your hard work on this bill. All right, seeing none, it does have House Bill, oh, I'm sorry, Leader Camper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you're just removing the licensure that Tennessee requires, similarly like with doctors and other places where we've removed this fee, and we're saying that based on their own credentials that they have, having been a scientist, that that's good enough.
Later, I wouldn't say like doctors, because it's doctors. I'm certainly not going after those. It was 2009, an occupational license. The idea is if we make this a licensed profession per commerce and insurance, that we would acquire more people into the industry. And quite contrary, in 2009, when it finally passed, they're on the decline and no younger people are coming. Those that were grandfathered in are finally retiring, and nobody wants to take the test and everything else that is required by this it's like an association. So I got to thinking about that with my degree from Austin Peay State University in agriculture. I said, I could be a soil scientist. So I go on the state's website looking at what I have to do to be licensed per commerce and insurance to do the job, which under the only purview is the PERT test under TDEC. Okay, keep in mind there's soil consultants that are already doing it that is not licensed by commerce and insurance. So then I look and I said, okay, how do I get my education? I click on a link and it sends me to Wisconsin. It's like, okay, this does not make much sense. And like I said, it's after talking to a number of the soil scientists and engineers, there is a permitting process that is very lengthy in nature. And so if you're I have a rural district, and so I'm finding problems with people are buying property, not getting perk tests done in a timely fashion, so it's 12 to 24 months out. Think about it, if you own a piece of property and you can't get somebody there to do the test, what is the problem? Now, when I first got elected in here in 2014, I've been working with the engineer in Houston County about this issue for this long. So it's not just something I dreamt up overnight, but visiting, like I said, with the soil scientists, it does them no good, and they would like to see it go away. At the same time, us, and what I'll be doing this summer is figuring out a legislation to help those soil scientists, the engineers, and of course it's a lengthy process, like I said, to even start getting a permit for a perk test, and we can start taking care of our constituents. As all of you know, we are on a growth spurt in the state of Tennessee, and we're holding back a lot of good folks from building a home or rebuilding a new home that did not have sanitation.
Leader Camper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Representative Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good legislation. I like this. I thought the other day when we were talking, you said you were going to put your own funding letter in for this, that this was so good that you was going to fund it.
You know, looking at the financial note on it for, it's interesting, $5,000. It's like, I could write a check for that. We'd take care of that right now. But no, that is, you look, I know this is Finance, Ways and Means. When we look at that, and it was very similar to not so long ago, 2017, when we got rid of the licensure for locksmiths. It wasn't costing the state anything. It's those individuals that have to be licensed. That's where the loss of revenue is, because now we can say, go do your job without paying Commerce and Insurance for an ID card that says, hey, I'm a professional.
I wasn't serious.
No. I love you, though.
All right,
Thank you,
Chairman
Representative Shaw.
Williams.
Just to clarify, this bill would eliminate a redundant licensure and allow it to be preserved in TDEC now instead of Commerce and Insurance. Is that correct?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Absolutely, and I would really appreciate your input this summer when we start talking about this, because of your occupation and what you're seeing in your district is the same in just about every district. Now, there's some members' district is in the city, and there's not a soil scientist, there is a septic system and treatment in those different counties. But we get out through redistricting. I inherited Stewart County. There is no septic service there. It's all septic tanks. So everything they do, they have to get the permit, perk test, and put in septic tanks for every building, for business, and everything. So it's an interesting conversation.
Thank you. Members, further discussion on House Bill 592? Seeing none, as it's already been alluded to, there is a small cost associated with House Bill 592, so we will have to place it behind the budget and reconsider it at a later date. So without objection, House Bill 592 goes behind the budget. Thank you,
Mr. Chairman.
All right, that brings us to item number 22. Item number 22 on our calendars, House Bill 893 by Representative Reedy. We have a motion to second. You're recognized for a brief description.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, this is my annual pilgrimage to the Finance, Ways and Means for the ground ambulance. What do we call it? Assessment fund.
All right, thank you for this description. Members, any discussion on House Bill 893? Hearing none, seeing none, we're now voting on House Bill 893, moving on to full finance. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 893 moves to full finance.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee.
Thank you. All right, item number 23 on our calendars, House Bill 955 by Chairman Campbell. We have a motion to second. You have a motion and a second. And it looks like you have an amendment drafting code 004166. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Do we have a motion and second on the amendment? You have a motion and second. Do you want to describe the amendment?
Sure. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. This bill, as amended, would ensure that the tax on dyed off-road diesel is not more than the tax for on-road clear diesel. This bill caps the sales tax on dyed diesel so that it does not exceed the 27 cents on clear diesel, and it is considered an equitable solution to a recent situation where the price of diesel caused the tax on dyed diesel to exceed the tax for on-road diesel. Thank you.
All right, members, you've heard the description of the amendment 004166. Any discussion? Seeing none, we're now voting on Amendment 004166 onto House Bill 955. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We are back on the bill as amended. We are back on the bill. Any discussion on the bill as amended? Any follow-up, Representative Campbell?
No, thank you.
All right. It does have a cost associated with House Bill. There is a cost associated with House Bill 955, so we will have to place it behind the budget to reconsider it at a later day. So without objection, House Bill 955 goes behind the budget.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item number 24 is going to be House Bill 1274 by Leader Cochran.
Motion.
You have a motion to second. You're recognized for a brief description.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 1274 is really a continuation of our efforts from the last 4 years to hopefully eventually repeal the professional privilege tax. This is, again, an effort to completely repeal that at the end of 2024. It does have a small $80 million fiscal note, however.
All right. Thank you for bringing that to everyone's attention. Now, thank you very much for the description. Members, any discussion on House Bill 1274? Representative Love.
Thank you, and thanks to the sponsor. Are there new professions included in this?
Leader?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This would be removing the remaining professions. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, sponsor.
Thank you. All right, further discussion? Seeing none, as it's already been alluded to, there is a large fiscal note associated with House Bill 1274. So without objection, we will have to place it behind the budget and consider House Bill 1274 at a later date. So without objection, so moved. All right, item number 25 on our calendars, House Bill 1184 by Representative Garrett. Motion. We have a motion to second. You're recognized for a brief description.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The House Bill 1184 does exactly as it says in the heading there. It eliminates the sales tax permanently on infant diapers, wipes, and formula.
All right,
and with the very, very small fiscal note, I hope this can get on the full.
All right, thank you very much. Members, you've heard the description of House Bill 1184. Any discussion? Chairman Williams.
Thank you. Leader Garrett, I do think this is a great bill. Actually, we're going to have a discussion later on in the budget cycle about the possibility of giving free diapers to certain groups across the state. I think maybe this is, in my opinion, maybe a better way to do that, to make these tax-free across the state. So I appreciate the bill. I look forward to further discussion on it. I know it's going behind the budget because it is a lot of money, but I do think it's worth having the discussion. I thought it was important to bring it up.
Thank you. Representative Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate those words.
Thank you. Further discussion on House Bill 1184. Seeing none, as we already saw, House Bill 1184 does have a fiscal note associated with it, so we will have to place it behind the budget and reconsider it at a later day. So without objection, House Bill 1184 goes behind the budget. All right, that moves us to item number 26. Item number 26 on our calendars, House Bill 152 by Chair Lady Hazelwood. You have a motion to second. Please continue. Go ahead. Would you like to describe?
This is the annual hospital assessment bill, which will ultimately leverage dollars to bring about $1.8 billion into TennCare.
All right. Thank you very much, members. You've heard the description. Representative Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Madam Chair, for this. This is really good. I appreciate that. But is there any increase for hospital assessments in this, or is it the same as it was, if that's a fair question?
The percentage remains the same. There is a new cost base. We have more current costs, so we've moved the cost base year, but the percentage remains at 4.87 where it's been for a while.
I had heard so much from my hospital about this, so I was just wondering, could they expect anything any better than what they've been getting, I guess is the question I'm really asking.
Well, the assessment bill will provide the same amount of funding that it has in past years that will allow TennCare to not cut some basic services that we're all agreed need to be a part of the TennCare provision. Additional monies for the hospitals is a separate issue from this bill. That would have to come from a separate source.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Members, further discussion. Seeing none, we're now voting on House Bill 152, moving on to full finance. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 152 moves on to full finance. That brings us to item number 27. Item number 27 on our calendars, House Bill 1079. We do have a request to roll this 1 week, so without objection, House Bill 1079 rolled 1 week. That brings us to item number 28 on our calendar. Item number 28 is going to be by Chairman Whitson, House Bill 675. We have a motion to second. You have a motion and a second. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill will extend the license plate issue for 3 years for rental vehicles. In the past, we did it for 2 years. They used to keep rental vehicles a total of 18 months, so we were getting basically 6 months of extra revenue at the county level. Now this will take it, since the pandemic, they found they've been keeping rental vehicles 2.5 years. So this will extend it to 3 years, and as a result, fees will be paid 3 years in advance.
All right. Thank you, Chairman Whitson. You've heard the description of House Bill 675. Any discussion? Seeing none, we're now voting on House Bill 675, moving on to full finance. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes do have it, and House Bill 675 moves on to full finance.
Thank you, committee.
All right. Members, that does complete our calendar for today. Do we have any further business coming before the committee? If not, without objection, we stand adjourned. We stand adjourned.